So, PlayStation 5 accessories are out. And the biggest question I had going into this is, how is the Pulse 3D headset? It's $100 and does a lot of things, especially for being a wireless headset. So, I wasn't expecting the greatest things ever, but I did read some reviews that sounded pretty promising. So I got a hold of a pair for myself to test them out and see what I think. So real quick about the box. They say it's how games were made to sound. Noise canceling microphones, wireless adapter. They say up to 12 hours on the battery. Haven't had too much time to test that fully. And it says fine-tuned for 3D audio on PlayStation 5 consoles, compatible with PS5, PlayStation 4, PlayStation VR. Now, one thing I want to say and make absolutely clear, you do not need this to do 3D audio on the PlayStation 5. It will work with any pair of stereo headphones. If need be, you can plug any pair into the controller itself and get a signal through there. Now we'll get to why you may not want to do that in a little bit, but I wanted to make that clear before we move on. So the headset itself comes in fairly simple packaging. You pretty much just pull it right out of there. It has no ways to fold or anything. It kind of just moves it, and it has this sliding little headband. So you just put it on and you're done. That's pretty incredible to me. The fact that I can just put these headphones on, I don't have to mess with anything. It just sits on my head and sits pretty well. I'd say these are pretty comfortable, and the pads are pretty thick. They're not the softest pads I've ever felt in the world, but again, we're talking about a $100 product here. And overall, the plastics feel nice, and you actually have that really nice PlayStation-y texture that's on the DualSense, that's also on the inside of here, but I can't really show that on video. I don't have a good macro lens at the moment. By the way, I still haven't taken the plastic entirely off of these. There's this one piece of plastic near the top. I'm really not 100% sure on if I want to personally keep these or not, so I'm trying to keep them in as close to mint condition as possible here. So the buttons. The buttons are really easy. On the front here, there's a power switch. You turn that on. You'll notice there's a little tiny light it activates that that activates. This kind of shows if it's pairing or not. It'll turn white once it's paired. That's also where one of the microphones is. You also have a headphone jack to plug these directly into anything, USB-C for charging, a physical mic mute switch that actually pops out and shows bright orange so you can tell when the mic's muted. That's really nice that it physically moves there. You then have a volume control with a dot on the top to kind of let you know that's the top of the volume when you go to feel it. You have your switch to turn on monitoring mode, which lets you hear your own voice, which I found really useful because I can sit there, have this on, hear my own voice through the headphones as I'm chatting, and that lets me kind of keep an eye on how loud I am. And at the top, you have another thing where it lets you switch between making the chat with your friends more loud or the game audio more loud. Another microphone, and also I think these are some like bass response ports, kind of helps the bass get out there. So that's what all the buttons are. They're gonna be easy to know once you've used them for a while, but it definitely will take some getting used to, and I kind of wish they were split a little more between the right and left hand sides, just because it feels like everything's on this left hand side and absolutely nothing's on the right hand side. Feels like they could have been moved a little more in between those. Yeah, no pivot on these. They just barely wiggle around up and down. That's it. But they're naturally kind of pivoted in, so when you put them on your head, they do kind of match the slant of your head forwards, and there is an amount I feel like I can move them around and it adapts there, but overall they're as comfortable as they could be, especially for the price point they're at, and I don't feel them clamping down on me too much, which honestly I can feel like with other headphones. I feel like I could wear these for a good long while before wanting to take them off. If you're someone who loves to do party chat with your friends, plays a lot of multiplayer games, I think this headset is really fantastic, especially if you don't want to have a really gamery looking headset and you don't want a mic that sits right in front of you. The mic on here sounds okay. We'll get to test in a little bit, but it's definitely the best out of any pair of headphones that kind of look like this and don't have a big boom mic in front of you. This is me recording with the Sony Pulse 3D headset. I have a fan running in the background. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to hear it. Interesting things to note is that this does record in only mono, not stereo. However, that's fine for voice chat, and overall I feel as if the quality of the mic here is fine for voice chat. So that's what it sounds like if I'm putting the headphones on and moving around in my chair, doing a lot of different things as I'm getting ready, just to see how that sounds. Also, my roommates are making a ton of noise in the other room. They're playing the Allier intro really loud. I don't know why. They're probably just trying to mess with me. But there's a decent amount of noise that was happening as I did that, so this is a test to see how well this does all that noise. So full volume on my iPhone, playing music. Again, roommates in the other room making a whole bunch of noise. They're now playing the Monsters, Inc. theme incredibly loudly. I have music playing in the background right in front of me, pretty loud actually, from my phone, of course, just because it's the best I can do to simulate people. So the question is, how do I sound now, especially because those mics are going to be trying really hard to noise cancel me. I'm going to wait for the song to kick in a little more, try a little more. Okay, so the song's kind of hit full volume here. I'm going to move it close, really close to the mics on here to see what happens if it picks that up. This is a ridiculous test, but I just wanted to check and see. And then also, I'm going to see if I can make this go to a speaker real quick so I can get a really loud speaker in. So let's assume for some reason full volume speaker in the same room as you playing that music. So that's playing that music really loud in the background. Let's see how much of that you can hear through this test. This is audio from the Sony WH-1000 XM2s I own. The same fan is running in the background as before, and the audio quality sounds relatively similar. However, there is no noise canceling at all. So you can hear that fan through my audio here. As well as, even though it's the same amount of compressed, I kind of feel it a bit more on here. And even if I switch to my iPhone mic here in a second, you can tell there's a difference in how, not bassy, but just kind of how much presence my voice has. This is just my iPhone mic recording. You can hear a lot more things around me. Almost in a sense, I feel like I can hear more of my voice. It sounds less like I'm stuck in a tunnel and more like you can understand what's around me. Talking through my AirPods Pro on my iPhone. I actually feel like out of all of these, the Pulse 3D sound the best. Now, I picked these headphones for two reasons. One, I own them, and two, none of them have a mic that sits in front of your face. They're all meant to kind of sit over your ears. I feel like that's the best comparison that can be made here, because I think a lot of people, like me, don't voice chat incredibly often, want something that works, but isn't like a big mic that they put in front of their face, and something that doesn't scream like video games. I think that's something that a lot of us want. So this is a test for that. There you go. This is me recording with the DualSense wireless controller. Now it's directly plugged into my computer here, and I'm not pushing any buttons, holding it kind of how I normally would. Here's me pushing a whole lot of buttons, messing with the stick, pretending I'm in a really, really intense game here. And then here's me kind of playing a bit more normally, how I might would, a little less crazy here. So let's see how that sounds. This is me recording with the Pulse 3D headset. Again, mashing buttons on the controller, but this time those buttons are a lot less noticeable. However, the mic on the DualSense kind of sounds better, only if you're not using buttons. However, I would say that the sound of the headphones themselves is my personal biggest disappointment. Now, these sound pretty good, and honestly, most gamer headsets for $100-ish I expect to way blow out all the bass notes, but here I did notice it felt a little underplayed to me. It felt like there was a lack of sub bass in a lot of different things, and this isn't incredibly noticeable in video games, but it is way more noticeable in music, at least for the music I listen to. In games, though, I would still notice people's voices sounded like they lacked some of the lower end and lacked some presence, although they did sound really close. This is a weird thing that I don't know how to describe well in video, but it really sounded like whenever there was a vocal, like just somebody talking, it felt really close to my ears in comparison to everything else. And I'm starting to think that maybe that's where some of this fine-tuned for 3D audio stuff comes in. I'm really interested to try these out on an actual PS5 and see if maybe there's something about that that'll make these feel super extra immersive for some reason. Now, the connection seemed fine with me. Charges over USB-C, which is fantastic. I'm glad we're switching over to that. It's kind of a universal cable for everything. And yeah, overall, I think these are really nice for the price that you're paying. And I think they'll be especially nice if Sony lets us kind of EQ them a little bit. Because if you just bass boosted it just a tiny bit, like that's something I would love. And I don't want to sit here and tell you shouldn't buy this, because I think it's pretty good, especially for $100. What you're getting here is really nice. And that USB adapter can plug into anything. I mean, it works on a Nintendo Switch even. So if you want to use a pair of wireless headphones with any gaming device, any computer device, these are really great because it's super easy to switch between. There's no fiddling with pairing. You just turn them on and they're connected, which is pretty incredible to me. When it comes to squishiness of these pads here, I'll try my best to show this off. So here's me kind of pushing down on it. I will say you only get just a tiny amount. It's hard to show on here because my fingers will block it, but the headphones themselves are actually really close near the front to where the pads are. They're a lot farther in the back, but in the front it's pretty close. So you actually don't get a ton of travel on the front of the pads, but it's fine because that's really where the least of the connection is. If we look at my, again, unfair comparison of these Sony XM2s, these are a lot squishier, like a lot squishier. You can see these are like memory foam in comparison with how long it takes those to pop back up versus, I mean, instantly, you know, like it's not going to stay there. It bounces right back, where these take a while. So I definitely feel like the comfort of these, which again, these are technically $240 headphones, well, the comfort of them in my ears, this part feels nicer, but I will say I don't love the headband as much. This headband design is really great for comfort over time. And obviously these are meant to be travel headphones. These are meant to fold and pop up. And the folding and stuff is really nice, but it does make these, again, a lot easier to use since you just put them on. They can't really, you don't have to fiddle with them. You just put them on. You're done. That's it. You don't have to mess with anything. Sometimes when I go to put these on, I'm like, and then wait, are those forwards or backwards? I don't really know. You know, definitely takes a little bit more fiddling in a weird way. In conclusion, if you are a future PS5 owner or someone who's looking to have one headset that works with a lot of different devices, I think this is a good way to go, especially if you do a lot of multiplayer voice chat and don't want to have a headset with a mic in front of your face. I think they look really nice. I think they're really easy to use, really easy to put on, and I think that it's really nice to have USB-C connection to charge, and everything just feels like it works well together. And while I'm personally disappointed with the bass response of these headphones, you may not be. You may think they work great for you, and if so, that's awesome. I just hope that Sony lets me tweak it a little bit. Anyhow, that's all I have to tell you right now. Hopefully I can get to test these out when I get my PS5 in a couple of weeks here, but until then, I'll see you around.